Hello, how are you today? I'm good. Uh, Come across an old memory that I wanted to share with you that I kind of think will shed a little light, and I think some of you probably gain quite a little insight here on what I'm about to share. There was once upon a time where I was an ELP for the Dave Ramsey program. And before I get into that, I want to shape that story up a little bit, uh, go backwards in time. Really before I was a real estate professional and a realtor. Um, there was a time where my wife and I were struggling with severe debt, and to the point it was scary. You didn't sleep, you didn't eat, um, and you had to look for answers that were beyond what the average person tells you or what the average person is willing to admit your struggles are. And I remember talking to bankers, trying to do some refinancing and debt restructuring and this and that. And I remember being told so many times by different bankers, you should declare bankruptcy, plain and simple. And we didn't accept those terms. And we were in our 20s, and which surprising because I was self-employed and both of us went to college and blah blah blah. The debt accumulated quickly and spun out of control like debt can, and that's a hard thing to manage when you're a young adult. And being told by multiple bankers or multiple financial gurus you should do bankruptcy is a little disheartening, especially when you're not that type of person to take the cheap way out, or the easy way out, right? So that's when we learned that you shop banks and you shop bankers. It's not a templated deal across the board. Every bank, every lender, they all have different terms, different wants. They have different portfolios that they're trying to build. They're selling you money, right? Like banks sell money. Let's figure it out. And that's where I learned early on in my adult life that just because two or three or a handful of them tell you no doesn't mean you quit looking. There's going to be somebody around the corner, especially if you have the right plan. You may fit a niche or a mold that they're trying to do when they're selling you money, and that's okay. Uh, so anyway, we learned some hard lessons there. We got restructured, we got reorganized, and we started learning. We started becoming students of our own decisions, right? And eventually we stumbled into Dave Ramsey and the books and the advice, and what a blessing. Um, and we still follow today to a very large degree what he advocates, with the debt management or the lack of, right? And if you have to go in debt, what types of debt are good and what types of debt are bad, how to manage your funds, setting up budgets, both personal and for business. All those things are great. It's great information. And so anyway, we learned about that. Like I said, we read the books, we started studying, and that led us into other professionals and other well-known authors or national advocates. And we took tidbits from all of them and we really crafted our own way, which is great. Looking back, I wouldn't trade it, right? But going through those times, and those times were months and years, it was spooky and scary, and it was hard and stressful. So anyway, fast forward that to when I got my real estate license. I started practicing in real estate and selling, becoming a realtor. Trained before that. I trained under my partner Kenny Kundle at the time, and was all good stuff. And eventually I took the dive and I wanted to become an ELP for the Dave Ramsey program, or what that's known for is being an endorsed licensed professional, right? So figured I was a student of my own problems, and I learned from that. I got out of that particular problem or problems without doing bankruptcy, and figured I knew about as much as anybody on debt management, from what I've learned, both personally and from others. And so I got signed up, which was super easy, by the way. And this is where I'm gonna say this is where you need to pay attention about these professionals endorsing certain local providers. Uh, Pay close attention here. Um, I got on the website, went through a few questions that were very generic and simple. Uh, I set up a meeting with an advisor about a week later. Yep, you're good. You fit into our program. You are going to be our local provider. And I know other advocates, past the Dave Ramsey show, there's other national celebrities that do this. They provide recommendations or referrals, um, or the endorsement, right? And so, all these are the same setup. Doesn't matter if it's Dave Ramsey or somebody else. I'm speaking on behalf of Dave because I was on the inner circle of that for a few years, and I know the inner workings of all this. So anyway, got signed up, was rolling, was getting buyers and sellers, meeting great people. Like, I love meeting those folks. Some of them had real stresses, real troubles. Others were just in the management phase, and others just wanted to learn to how not get so far into debt that it was going to overwhelm their lives, right? And when we're talking about buying real estate, usually that comes with debt load. Not everybody has several hundreds of thousands of dollars laying around to purchase property. So, and typically, real estate's considered good debt versus buying a car, for example. But anyway, met great people, had great conversations. I learned a lot, and I was helping a lot of people, and I felt good. Like right here, it felt good. Fast forward to 2016, the real estate market in Northeast Wyoming really started crumbling with the trifecta of oil, gas, and coal plummeting. The prices of those products that are sold out of our area plummeted, and which is kind of the soul of our economy here, right? And wasn't shortly behind that the real estate started following that same downward spiral. And it was at that moment, it was March, April, that time period, where all three markets crashed for the energy sector. By May, June, July, phones were ringing off the hook with sellers, scared to death, or property owners, homeowners, scared to death. They didn't know if they should sell, what's going to happen to the city of Gillette or Moorcroft or anywhere in Northeast Wyoming. The energy sectors are cratering. Hadn't seen anything like this since the 1980s, where a trifecta of the economy like that happened, of those markets. And it was our office that really was, I feel like, probably the first office, real estate office around here that stood up and said, you should not be selling right now. This is a short-term blurb, and it will rebound. Thus, we are not panicking. We are not worried about the state of our economy short term. I mean, long term. We were worried about it short term, but not long term. Thus, we're not worried about our real estate market long term. And coincidentally, through the Dave Ramsey program, that hotline picked up. And of course, Dave Ramsey, I'll set you up with a local provider, somebody that I've endorsed. We've personally interviewed them, blah, blah, blah. And that's all true. And man, my phone was going like crazy. Well, of course, my advice was, if you don't have to sell, don't sell, right? Hold on to your investment. It's a market. It will rebound. You'll be just fine. Now, if you have to sell because of job relocation, or maybe you can't afford the payments anymore if you have a mortgage on it, that was different. Yeah, we were forced into having to sell homes for folks that maybe didn't want to have to sell, but it was affordability, or they're moving out of town, job transfer, family status change. That was a pretty stressful time for people in our area. Um, so there was a few divorces. There's things like that occurred. They couldn't handle the stress load, and so anyway, um, and buyers were coming in. We were encouraging them to buy because we were statistically able to show that the real estate market was suppressed artificially, and it was a great time to buy. But unfortunately, through that program with Dave Ramsey, we weren't getting hardly any buyer action. It was all sellers. Fast forward to 2017, my rep from Dave Ramsey started calling, wanting to know why I wasn't converting leads. Which for all of you that are watching, if you sign up for a program with somebody like that and you give them your name, phone number, email address, you are then considered a lead, and they redistribute that to their local endorsed provider. And so anyway, he was calling, bugging, wanting to know what was going on. I'm like, dude, I'm not converting these people. I'm not gonna talk them into selling something if I don't feel like they should. Or if we sit down and do some goal setting, if I sat down with that family and we did some goal setting and I learned what their needs really were and what their wants were, and it didn't match up with selling, I'm not going to encourage the sale. I'm not a transactional realtor. I'm more about building relationships. And of course, coincidentally, that's what Dave Ramsey talks about. We build relationships. And so we fast forward in 2018. My rep's still hounding me. Need to convert leads, need to get the money wheel spinning, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. These families I've had consultations with, I stay in touch with, doesn't match. Just because they contacted you and said they wanted to sell, after visiting with them, it doesn't match. And it got pretty contentious. And I learned quickly it was more about the money for those outfits than it is about what they tell you they're about, which was really disheartening. And it got so bad that I told them that I needed to be taken off their ELP list. I'm not going to be somebody's horse that they can ride just to have financial gain, okay? And that's what I told Dave Ramsey and his people. Yeah, solid people that contacted, went through the program, solid leads. They were genuine people that owned real estate in our local communities. And some of them I did convert, but here's what I learned. Like once they started putting pressure on me, I was putting pressure back. Well, how much should I be converting? What's your expectations? Let's spin the wheel. Let's see what this is all about. No kidding. They literally wanted me, if for every 10 leads that come in, they wanted 3 to 5 to turn into sales, because here's what happens. Every time I turn that into a sale, they take a percentage of my paycheck right off the top. That was part of the agreement. Part of the agreement I signed. I was okay with it. Didn't bother me. It was 30% of my paycheck, or 20%, somewhere in there, 20 to 30% of my paycheck that I agreed to, that they could have, skim the money off the top. And that's how you get into these programs to be a licensed professional, is they get to skim off the top from you, and that's how they run their programs. It's not out of the goodness of their heart, which I get. Like you have to pay the bill some way. So I was okay with the referral fee that I was paying, but I wasn't okay with pressuring somebody into a transaction that didn't necessarily have to do it, just to satisfy the Dave Ramsey wants or expectations, okay? So I share this because I've never really shared it publicly before. I've shared it in conversation with some past customers, and just kind of made them aware that that's how these programs work. But I come across an experience again the other day that I'm ready to air this out on our YouTube page and make everybody aware of, Dave Ramsey or all these other news anchors or whatever, they're all spinning the same programs. Um, they get you in the front door free of charge. They make you feel comfortable. They give their local providers um, a boost and build the confidence with the customer that way, and then they turn the lead over to the local provider to wrap up and do business with, all of which is great. But when you start saying things like, oh, you're expected to your conversion rates suck, you need higher conversion rates or you're going to be kicked out of the program. Well, I'm not here converting based on your wants for money. I'm here converting genuinely, um, based on that customer's goals and objectives, their wants and their needs. It's about the customer, not the program. So hopefully this helps. I'm sure some of you maybe signed up through programs like this previous. Since I exited the program, I know that there's other realtors in our area that have signed up behind me. There's only one spot per area, right? So once I let that position go, I know the others that signed up behind me. I wish I could say that they were had everybody's genuine thoughts in mind as much as I did, but I don't know. I feel like some days that's not all the truth, because I know how the real world works, and it's a dog eat dog world sometimes. But anyway, wanted to share that with you, shed some light on it. If you got questions about any of that moving forward, I still practice. A couple things I want to make clear. I still practice a lot of what Dave Ramsey preaches as far as debt management goes, household management, and I pass that on to our customers that need that assistance. Sometimes, especially with buyers, like they may not qualify today because they got certain debts that need to be handled and they don't know how to get there and they feel like they're drowning and blah blah blah. Well, we sit them down and we make a budget and we go. Like, I still practice all the same principles. Just because I'm not a part of the ELP program anymore doesn't mean I practice it any less. In fact, I probably practice it more, because I personally, my wife and I have systems for personal. We have systems for each one of our businesses, all of which we've proven out and we know work now, and we don't get ourselves in trouble financially. All of which I'm able to coach and help and kind of lead our current customers along at any given point in time, and I'm happy to do so. So I'm a believer, and I know what Dave talks about is true. I know it works, and I know that every American citizen should take that seriously, because I've seen the repercussions of that if you don't. But what I am also saying is, don't always get caught in the mousetrap of, oh, there are local provider there that we have vetted, and that's our guy or that's our girl. I'm here to tell you, it was so easy getting in the system. It's not even funny. What was harder was standing up to their corruption of money, which was disheartening. So anyway, like I said, if you got any questions, leave comments down below. Otherwise, call or text. We're around all the time. And yeah, we'll just catch you on the next video. Talk to you later.